Hi, Stephanie. It's nice to meet with you again after 2 weeks. I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving with your family. How have things been going for you since the last time we met for your first session?
Hi, Maria. Thanksgiving break was fun. I got to see my family for a few days, which was really nice, and I worked a little during break. But but other than that, things have been going okay, but haven't been going as good as I originally planned. I have been having some health issues, but I have been trying my best to meet with some of the goals that we set last time.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that you've been trying to meet the goals we decided on for you. So let's talk a little bit more about those goals in regards to what went well and any challenges you might have had in the last 2 weeks. How does that sound?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, well, the first goal that we talked about was to substitute your grains with whole wheat grains. What changes were you able to make towards this goal?
None. I haven't been cooking since I went home for the holidays. I pretty much just ate what my family had at home, and they did not have any whole grains beside the brown rice that I had for lunch Saturday. I guess I didn't want to go shopping for whole wheat grains since nobody else in my house would eat them.
Okay, I hear where you're coming from. I'm glad that you were able to make one substitution in the right direction. Every step helps you get closer to your ultimate goal. One of the next goals that we set for you in our last session was to increase your omega 3 fatty acid intake to help lower your risk of heart disease. We talked about doing things like adding flax seeds into your smoothies and eating more avocados. How do you think you did?
I didn't have a chance to add flax seeds into my diet. However, I did add avocados throughout break. I only had avocados once during the 3 days of the food journal, but I did eat more throughout the week. I forgot to add flax seeds into my diet because my parents didn't have any at the house, and it was easy for me to add avocados because it's something that is common in my family on a regular basis.
That's great. I'm so glad that you were able to eat more avocados. That is a great way to start adding omega fatty acids into your diet. I'm very proud of your effort towards this goal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Stephania, let's talk a little bit about your fruit intake. Did you feel like you were able to make a step towards integrating more fruit into your diet?
Yes, definitely added more fruit via smoothies or just as a regular snack. Eating more fruit was the easiest goal to me this past week for me because I love fruit and my parents had lots of fruit at the house. And my sister has gotten into this thing about making smoothies, so that helped a lot.
Okay, and I see from your food diary that you only had a fruit smoothie once in those 3 days. Did you have more smoothies throughout the rest of the week?
Yeah, I had about like 4 this past week.
Okay, wow, that's wonderful. I am glad that adding more fruits into your diet was easy for you to accomplish. So tell me a little bit about how your exercising goal went.
I haven't been able to go to the gym. I strained a muscle on my lower back, so I have been taking steroids for the muscle because it was inflamed. I have also been taking ibuprofen for the pain and other painkillers as well. I haven't been able to stand or sit straight for long periods of time with getting the sharp pains.
I'm sorry to hear that you've been having trouble with your back. So, do you feel as if you would have worked out if you weren't having these problems?
Maybe not worked out the 3 times at the gym, but I would have probably done some other type of activity like walking.
Okay, so we can definitely look into coming up with a new exercise goal for you a little bit later that's more achievable for you. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, great. So I remember that the last time we met, one of your biggest desires was to decrease your sugar intake. How did you do?
I have taken a step into drinking more water instead of sugary drinks. Although I did drink some apple juice this past week, Thanksgiving dinner was a challenge for me because my family has a lot of sweets and desserts. I did cave and had some cheesecake on Thanksgiving. Oh, and I also had an icy one day after work.
Okay, it sounds to me like you have been taking a a huge step in the right direction by drinking more water throughout the week. Don't feel too bad about not having cut sugar out completely because that is not a very attainable goal. It is too hard to try to stop doing something cold turkey. Taking small steps at a time will still eventually get you where you want to be. So I hear you telling me about this past week, but it has been 2 weeks since the last time we met. How did your first week differ from your second week?
Well, the first week I didn't focus as much on our goals, but I feel like Since the second week, I had more time to focus on what I was eating and how to integrate what we talked about from our last meeting. In the first week, I did eat fruits, but I ate more fruits during the second week. I also didn't have omegas into my diet the first week, and I didn't exercise either or substitute my grains.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I'm glad you decided to focus a bit more on your goals during the second week. I definitely think that we need to reevaluate your goals and come up with some more attainable goals. We can set less goals this time around so that you do not feel as overwhelmed this time. I think that since you enjoy eating fruits, that is not one of the goals that we really need to focus on this time around. I think that the two biggest goals that we need to focus on for our next meeting are to increase your physical activity and decrease your sugar intake. These two things highly influence your ultimate goal of losing 5 pounds. Have you found any changes in your weight?
No, I still weigh the same as I did the last time we met.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about how you felt trying to meet your goals the past 2 weeks.
I mean, when it came to the smoothies, I didn't really think about it because my sister was really into the smoothie making and she would make it for me. But when it came to lessening my sugar intake, I felt like I had to constantly be thinking about how much sugar I already had and had to keep track of my water intake. But overall, I wasn't hard as long as I remembered. I pretty much felt good about my progress.
I agree. I can definitely see that you have made multiple steps in the right direction. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the problem you have been having with your back. Do you think your back could sustain a little speed walking exercise?
Maybe, but not for long periods of time, but I do think so.
Okay, so what do you think about instead of going to the gym, you do some speed walking? How much walking do you think your back could handle?
I would say about less than 25 minutes.
Okay, and how many times per week do you think you could do this?
I think I could stick to the original 3 days we set.
Okay, and how likely do you think you are to actually complete this goal on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not very likely and 10 being very likely?
I think I'm about maybe a 6 or 7.
Okay, and why are you a 6 or a 7 and not a 10?
Just because it all depends on how my back is feeling on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, and is there anything we could do to help you reach that 10?
Maybe lowering the time of the walking.
Okay, well, what do you think about a speed walking goal of 20 minutes 3 times per week?
I think that sounds reasonable. I like this goal more than the one we set last session because I think I'll actually be able to accomplish it with my current back issues.
Well, that's great. I'm glad we were able to find a physical activity that was more attainable for you. Would it be okay if I contacted you midweek to see how your walking is coming along?
Yeah, that would be fine. I think if you called me, it would remind me to keep track of my walking.
Okay, great. So let's talk about your sugar goals. Did you actually stick to drinking water every other time you wanted to drink a sugary drink, or was it only when you remembered to do it?
Well, I mentally tried to limit my sugar drinks in general. First, I started limiting the first week to like 5 sugary drinks per day, and then the second week, I limited myself to 3 sugary drinks per day.
Okay, so tell me what goals you would like to set for yourself this time regarding your sugar intake.
I guess limit my sugar drinks to 1 drink per day, and maybe the sweets to 2 per week.
Okay, and how likely do you think you are to meet this goal?
I would say a 10.
Okay, so why are you so positive that you could complete this goal?
I guess because these past 2 weeks I managed to decrease my sugary drinks successfully, and making smoothies also helped me avoid the sugary drinks.
Okay, well, it's nice to hear that you are very confident in meeting this goal. That is wonderful news. I will make sure to ask you how this goal is going when I call you to check up on your walking. Overall, Stephanie, I'm very proud of the effort you have put into making a change in your lifestyle. I can tell that you want to change, and I think that the adjustments that we made towards your goals will help you get where you want to be.
Thank you. I feel like these sessions have helped me keep me motivated, and I'm also more accountable for my actions because I have to meet with you to talk about them. It also helps me be more conscientious about what I'm doing.
Okay, well, that's great. I'm glad that you're benefiting from our sessions. Stephania, what do you think about meeting again next week to see how you did with your new goals?
Yeah, I think that would help.
Okay, great. Don't worry about doing another food diary this time. I do, however, want you to keep track of every time you have either a sugary drink or sweets. I wrote down your goals on this paper so that you can remember what you have to work on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Stephania. Do you have any questions for me?
How would you like me to keep track of my sugar intake? Should I write it down or should it just be like a mental note?
You can either write it down or you could just write it on a note in your phone. You can do whichever is easier for you.
Okay, that works.
Is there anything else?
Can you help me come up with other things that I can eat as a snack so I can avoid eating junk food that has a lot of sugar? I feel like adding smoothies has helped me stay away from the sugary drinks. So I feel like if I had some examples of what I should eat to stay away from the sweets, like the cheesecake I had on Thanksgiving, that would be very helpful.
Okay, of course. Well, let's talk a little bit about what other types of snacks you eat. Give me some examples of what you usually find yourself eating when you're hungry for a snack.
Well, I usually go for cookies or chips and sometimes ice cream as well.
Okay, and how often do you find yourself reaching for these snacks?
Usually between meals like lunch and dinner or after dinner as a bedtime snack.
Okay, well, since cookies and chips are finger food, how do you feel about having some celery sticks and trail mix instead?
Yeah, that sounds great. I like celery and I love trail mix.
Okay, good. And for the ice cream, we could try substituting it for yogurt with some granola. Do you like this alternative?
Yeah, it sounds reasonable since I do have yogurt and granola in my house most weeks.
Okay, wonderful. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yes, you mentioned that you wanted me to keep track of the sugar I had, but do you want me to keep track of the time like I did in the food journal? Oh, and do you want me to keep track of it for 3 days or the entire week?
No, you don't have to keep track of the time. Just make a list on a day-to-day basis. However, I do want you to keep track for the entire week since we will be having a shorter interval between sessions. Oh, and one more thing I want you to do, if you can, is to log your exercise for me. You can just take note of the days you walked and the length of time you walked for. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think I could do that.
All right, great. Is there anything else I can answer for you?
No, I don't think so. But if I do come up with something, can I give you a call?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, it was really nice to meet with you again, Stephanie. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good week.
You too. Bye.
Bye.